So today I had my 10th year reunion with my former high school class, the class of 2016. And it went okay, there was good moments and there was awkward moments, but overall it went the way I expected. It was a mixed bag, but I I guess I learned some stuff and I I felt like it was worth coming here. And so I essentially flew out. It doesn't matter how I got here, but the day started. I first went to hang out with my sort of high school buddies. I see them every year or so, but in my current state where I'm taking more anti-anxiety, antidepressive medication since the last time I saw them. Before I was only on like 5 or 10 milligrams of Lexapro, but now I'm on the full dose of 20, and I've definitely like calmed down a lot, and I've been able to express myself a lot better, and just like be more relaxed speaking. And so, meeting up with them and talking with them at lunch, it was pretty fun. We're cracking up jokes and talking about references, all from high school, like I got bronchitis. I walked out. What do you got? Like all that stuff, or like the great. There's just a bunch of references, and we're just joking around and stuff like that. And went to Chipotle. It was fun. It was fun to sort of get back into the rhythm and just say things. I don't know how many of those jokes I can say now. Well, one of them was like we were touring the new library at a school, and they had recently renovated it. And so it was like it's Saturday, so there's no one in the library. And as we're walking through it, we see a book of a not the best leader. His name starts with an H, so yeah, um, not the most amazing person in the world. And I was joking with my friend. I was like, "Oh, don't look at that! Like that book isn't allowed." Oh my god! I was just telling him that to not look at that book because our school is like pro-Zionist. And he was like, dude, like, what are you saying? But I like making that joke. It was fun. It was fun to like be out of pocket again. I think that's what I most enjoyed about my time being at my high school. It was just like all my friends. We enabled each other to be absolute menaces and just be completely out of pocket and sort of just like not really make fun or bully people, but just say some wild stuff. And it was good being in that environment again and being relaxed enough to say those things. So I was having a good time up till then, and then we eventually, we walked around and things weren't too eventful until we went to the dinner reception at our high school cafeteria, which is actually in a really large old, basically like a castle. And I know it's crazy. I went to a very bougie private school, but there I got to saw a lot of classmates, and there were two encounters that really stood out to me. So the first one, I talked to my former prom date from junior year, and she's like this really pretty girl, and she's actually white, and so I was joking with my friends that I don't know if I would actually talk to her because everything that's happened to me that they don't know, but internally I know everything that's happened to me recently, and we haven't really kept in touch at all. It was just a one and done thing, and I wasn't too confident in my ability to just approach her and have a smooth conversation, but I was looking at her throughout the night, and I think like an hour in, I saw there was like a moment where she was sort of getting food and wasn't talking to anyone, and I was telling myself, I was just like, come on, man, like just do it. You want to do it, so just do it. Just stop making excuses, stop doing anything. I just walked up to her and I started talking to her, and she was a lot, a lot nicer than I remembered, and a lot more inquisitive, and I guess intellectual than I remembered. And I felt, as we were having conversations, I felt a sense of connection in that time with her. I think even it was only like 5 minutes long, and I felt I stumbled on a lot of things that she said. Like she was starting to become a psychology major, or a psychotherapist, and she said she enjoyed that a lot more than going into academia. And I I wish I had said something more better. Like afterwards, I thought of, oh, it's interesting learning about CBT and DBT and applying it to real people. You get to see real people's lives and stuff. You get to uh, you get to change the outcomes of their lives, or something like that. You see, but rather than that, I was just like, yeah, you be interacting with real people. I just said something really general, and I felt that kind of uh, dulled the conversation a bit. And that was the only moment I really remembered from that conversation, other than us talking about like more detailed stuff about her life and something like that. And I yeah, the conversation got cut short because other people, came up to talk to her, and I sort of just awkwardly stood there, but entered into another conversation. But I really, even though I wasn't the best, and I wish I could have said a lot more, especially because I have a history with psychotherapy. Like, I've taken it, but I didn't want to say it. I just wanted to say the sort of details surrounding it, like what therapists need to do, but I just couldn't think of it on the spot. It was just, oh, I wish I just talked more about some of the techniques and, scientific details regarding like this different types. There's even logotherapy from the Viktor Frankl, the Austrian guy, where the premise is a lot more based on purpose and meaning as opposed to emotions and mindfulness and interpreting those emotions. There's also Jungian and all that stuff. And so clinical psychology, there's medication as well, psychiatrists. And so I could have talked about a lot of stuff, but it's just the details didn't come to me. And we just mainly talked about like her academia life and grading students and writing and very generic stuff. And yeah, I could have done a lot better, that's for sure. But I felt the conversation got to a deeper level than most of the other ones, and I enjoyed that. And at least I enjoyed it. I hope that she enjoyed our interaction too. We didn't talk after that, only after 5 minutes. I guess I was too afraid to go reach out to her again, but I hope she enjoyed it as well. I feel when I was in high school, I would never have done that. I was way too shy and just didn't approach people out of fear that they would find me boring or something. But despite that, I was actually a lot more inquisitive, a lot more quicker, and I feel a lot more funnier back in high school. And it's ironic how going through severe anxiety and mental illness, how it changes your perspective and desensitizes you to failure, but the underlying condition has made me more susceptible to failure because I'm just not as quick or as funny or as witty anymore, and just sort of generic. And it's tough. It's tough having to live like that, where the failure rate is close to 100% when it comes to making friends and talking to people, talking to women. But it definitely has changed me in different ways where even despite that, I'm a lot more outgoing and more willing to just talk to people because I realized how much I enjoy it. I enjoyed it. Even when I lost it, that's basically what made me realize how central part of it was in my life, and I just seek it out and just follow my gut and try not to make excuses anymore. But it's still tough when you realize your original wit and your own enjoyment and authenticity in conversations isn't as present anymore. And it feels tough to have to deal with that. But there was another interaction with one of my classmates, a guy he was actually really quick and really witty, and I felt sort of ashamed talking to him because I feel the thing with my high school classmates is I feel they remembered me being more funny, more out of pocket, more interesting per se than the boring, sort of generic, agreeable person I am now. And he was sort of controlling the conversation. He was really funny, and I just felt like keeping, I wasn't keeping up to date, or I wasn't up to par with the conversation. And I wish I remembered more stuff or I had more quips. And he was joking that I worked because I worked in tech. He was joking that I worked at a small company called Anthropic. And he was saying, like, yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of it. I was employee number 7, like Claude was actually named after me. Like, he was really like a lot of funny quips. And I just couldn't keep up. And it was, yeah, I was like, the more and more I couldn't keep up, the more I started getting in my own head. I was like, I can't express myself. I'm not being authentic. You just start like thinking about all the sort of things. And that was one experience where it was just tough. It's like I couldn't really do anything in the moment. And your store was just like struggling to survive or just try to think of something on the same level as someone else. And yeah, it was just difficult. And so it was fine. I still appreciated the conversation. He's a nice guy, and it's good talking to him. But I guess overall, the the main point or the moral of the story is I I sort of forgot the moral of the story. Oh, I remember now. I've been practicing more self-expression through these vlogs and just talking and being more comfortable with my own voice and telling stories and sharing my experiences and sharing my thoughts. And I think it's one thing to be comfortable with that and to feel you're improving on it. Simply enjoying yourself and enjoying your own thoughts. But it's another thing to do that with other people when you are subject to another standard or another set of eyes and ears, and having to kind of gauge that conversation and gauge their attention differently as opposed to yours. And that's a whole nother can of worms, and it can be a lot more difficult than just simply expressing yourself to yourself, to the camera. And it's really hard to improve at it because in real time, there's not much you can think about. I mean, even when I'm talking now, I can't really think, but when you're with other people as well, it's just no room for conscious effort in that. It has to be flowing. It has to go really smooth. It has to click, and it is so dynamic conversation and go here and there that it's just really hard to use any sort of like logical or tip or conscious tip to sort of change the way you speak to people or change your personality from being generic to non-generic. It's just really difficult. And so I realize like it's pretty difficult to find the person who you click with outside of yourself. And we can often feel discouraged when that happens, to feel we're not enough or we're just not interesting and we're afraid of being boring. But I feel the more I practice by myself and feel interested in things I say to myself, the more hopeful I feel that at least there would be someone, some person who is similar vibe as me and similar place as me, who I will enjoy talking to and enjoy listening to, and who are able to feel the same way I do with myself now with them. And so I didn't realize how important self expression is in terms of just self growth and feeling comfortable, and the with the results with other people will or will not come, but at least the progress here is reassuring, and I just want to tell other people that this sort of monologuing or just sharing your thoughts is just as important, if not more important, than talking to other people. And it's necessary for, at least for me, to keep going in life. And I hope other people find it the same way, where they can keep hope. So, yeah.